Hi everyone, welcome to episode 9 of the Mindset and Muscle podcast. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the holidays, the holiday spirit. Hopefully you have your Christmas tree up. I certainly do. Right after Remembrance Day, I put mine up. I was so excited. I feel like the more I'm living in Canada, like the longer I'm living here, the earlier I start to celebrate Christmas. It just turned me into just blending into all the Canadianness around here and wanting to celebrate Christmas and being excited about it. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about how to manage and how to navigate really the holiday season when you also want to keep your nutrition in mind, or how to really navigate nutrition around the holiday season. Let's put it like that, because you don't want to navigate your whole life around nutrition, but you want to make nutrition and food and fitness be able to work in your life or whatever you're doing. So how to navigate nutrition around holiday season. The first thing is that's very basic, but to just keep it in mind, is to find that balance. And that's why you're here. I know you're here for me to tell you how to find that balance, but really it's important to keep that in mind, that it's not going to be in one direction that I'm going to go with, of either telling you to just take all the healthy steps to just be super healthy during Christmas and not eat anything, and not eat cookies and not eat anything. Or I'm also not going to go on the completely different way of being like, you know what, screw all of this, just eat whatever you want. So really this episode is trying to find kind of that balance between the nutritious choices with that indulgence, and managing cravings maybe that could happen, as well as maintaining a really stress-free approach to food during this festive period, because I know it can get stressful for a lot of people. So the holiday season really often presents a challenge, like I said. So you really want to find, how do I balance enjoying the festive treats? It's going to be more going out, more dinners, with also making healthier choices. Maybe you're trying to lose weight right now, maybe you're, whatever your goals are, maybe you've been trying to lose weight for a while. You think that Christmas is going to ruin it. It's not. So I'm going to start there. But we'll explore the idea of trying to incorporate some things, and I'm really about adding instead of subtracting whenever possible. So we're going to try to add some things to make it a lot easier, a lot smoother, and a lot less stressful for you. Again, we're not about restriction here. Balance, maybe some control, but not restriction. So without further ado, step 1. If you are in a cut right now, try to take a diet break around this season. That might not be what you expect me to be saying, but to be honest, I don't think you're really, the ideal thing is to try to be consistent. Even if you try, a lot of people might not be able to, with just having family dinners and things like that. That might just put an additional stress, whether you're tracking your macros or you're not, to just try to eat like you were doing, or like you're currently doing right now, when there's those couple meals that are out of your normal plan, let's just say. So something to keep in mind is that it's only one meal for Christmas, or Christmas and Christmas Eve, that's 2, or even New Year's and New Year's Eve, 3, 4. Even if it's 10 meals, first of all, that's 10 meals out of 31 days of meals, which might be over 90 meals. So depending on how many meals you have in a day, what I mean is that's just 10 meals out of the whole month, but now out of the whole year. It's not that big of a deal. Now, on those days, if you just think about it as 5 days or 10, you're probably not even gonna have 10 straight days of just eating out. But even if you do, let's just take 5, for example, 5 whole days of eating out and things like that. Well, that's, again, 5 days out of a whole year. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine. It's nothing that you can't get back on later. But what I would say is like the stress coming with trying to cut makes it a lot harder to enjoy anything. It makes it harder to both cut and to enjoy. So like to do kind of both sides of it. So what I would say is to try to take a diet break and just try to maintain for maybe that 1 week or those 2 weeks. That's usually what I do. And that's also what my coach recommended. And that's probably how I started to do that. I didn't think about it before, but she's like, yeah, she usually just tells her clients to have like a week or two where you're not actively trying to lose inches, lose weight, or things like that. So try not to be like, oh, next week I have to drop on the scale, or my measurements have to be lower, or my progress pictures have to be better. Just think of it as a week or two, whatever it is, of just trying to maintain, which is still good. Because like I said before, life is not all about nutrition all the time. You have to make memories too. You have to enjoy the moment. You have to live life. So I would really advise you to, again, try not to be super strict on your cut or whatever. You can always come back after. It's not a week of not being consistent is not going to ruin your progress. It's fine. It's finer than you think. Especially around the holidays, really enjoy that moment with your family. It's really a time for family, for loved ones. So enjoy that. That being said, that doesn't mean go on a binge or just eat all the foods out there just because you're not cutting. You should, even when, the thing is, you shouldn't be on a cut for most of the year anyway. A lot of people just try to cut all the time. You should cut for like a little part of the year, and then most of the time you should be maintaining. Like if you have other goals of bulking and things like that, but just in general, you should not try to cut all the time. So when you're not cutting, in general, when you're just maintaining, would you be somebody who would eat all the chocolate in the world, all the cake in the world, or you would be somebody who would eat a slice of cake or two and then just be satisfied with that? Just try to think about that. Like the other tips are going to be more about how to make better decisions, but that doesn't mean being restrictive on yourself. It's just that at no point should you really have to eat more. Like food is always going to be there. Like it's not going to go anywhere. You can always get cake. Like you can get cake right now if you want. It's not that big of a deal that you have to eat all of it at once. Just because of like, oh, we have that 1 week of diet break. Don't think of it like that. So again, first step is really to try to just maintain during that week. Especially if you were on a cut, maybe you weren't even thinking about being on a cut. You're just scared you're going to put on weight. So then the other tips, we're going to help you to really make a little bit better choices to be able to balance that out again. I've talked a little bit too much about this. I feel like it's already been like almost 10 minutes. But the next step to manage the cravings, or to not feel like you want to eat the whole buffet, if there's a Christmas buffet, I don't know, is to not go there super hungry. If you have a Christmas dinner, don't starve yourself the whole day and then go there, because then you're going to be ravenous. You're not going to make the best food choices either there. Even if you think I wasn't going to anyway, it's better to eat normally throughout the day. I'm not saying just have a whole dinner before going there either. I'm just saying have your normal breakfast and lunch, and have even maybe better choices for breakfast and lunch than you usually do, in terms of things that will keep you full. So if you usually just have cereal for breakfast and that doesn't keep you super satiated, maybe try like a breakfast sandwich or something that you make at home, or just whatever it is, but have something that keeps you full for breakfast and also for lunch. And if you have snacks, I don't know. And then do your normal, like drink lots of water like you usually do. If you need to get your steps in, just because you have a Christmas dinner doesn't mean you can't get your steps in. Like whatever you usually do, don't forget all your habits because of those few days of having a Christmas dinner or eating not just Christmas but a holiday like event or something. Like if you get your steps in, get your water, for the rest of the day eat normally, but also eat things that will keep you satiated, that will still make you happy. Don't starve yourself. That's very important. Another thing, if you're maybe going to a restaurant or if you have the option of choosing what you're eating, eat higher protein foods and fiber foods, sorry. Higher protein foods and higher fiber foods. I don't know why I shrilled that much on that fiber word. High fiber. It's not that difficult of a word to say, of a term to say. Anyway, but both of those, protein and fiber, are going to really help you feel satiated. So instead of focusing on the garlic bread and eating just a tiny piece of chicken, if you have a big piece of chicken or more of the chicken or steak or whatever it is, I don't know. I feel like somebody will tell me that people don't eat those things at like Christmas parties. It's not what people eat, but I don't really know what is it like, you know how Thanksgiving there's like turkey? I also learned recently that people don't actually all make a stuffed turkey for Thanksgiving. I thought you had to. There's no Christmas, like not Christmas. I thought it wasn't a Thanksgiving dinner without turkey, but apparently not. But anyway, I don't know if there's the equivalent for Christmas. Let me know if there is. But either way, whatever you're eating, focus on that protein, as well as if you have any vegetables. And I feel like a lot of us don't like vegetables very much, but hey, we're adults here. Let's stop telling ourselves we don't eat vegetables and start eating them. And I'm saying that for me as well. I don't eat as many vegetables as I should, but I do know that I should be eating them. I actually like them a lot when I'm going out. It tastes very good. When I'm making them at home, for some reason, I'm still not at a point where I'm like, oh, this is some delicious vegetables. So I still eat, like, I eat a little bit, but I just, most of the time, would get, like, either salad or if I have, like, curries and things like that, I incorporate them in it. But if not, then I have, like, carrots on the side with hummus or something like that. But, you know, nothing too fancy. But when you go out, sometimes you get some fancy vegetables. Like roasted or grilled or something, I don't know, just whatever it is. But fiber and protein are really going to keep you satiated, and you can still have your garlic bread or whatever it is. Just because I said don't focus on that doesn't mean you shouldn't have it. You can have your pasta, you can have your garlic bread again, you can have your rice, whatever it is. But just like if you focus your meal around the protein, if you can and if you want to, that will just make you less hungry to eat a lot of other things. Even then, when you get to dessert, you're not like still hungry that you think you have to eat lots of it. Eating even a little bit of it will give you that sense of just pleasure from having that food without feeling that you overate on dessert or you had too much. And again, I don't mean just have a tiny slice of cake because moderation, like that's not what I mean. You can have a regular slice of cake. It's just that if you eat well, you might not even finish it, and that's fine too. But even if you do, again, like I'm just saying, like, eat things that will not make you feel like you're still hungry for the next step and the next step and the next step after. Because I feel like what happens is that you starve yourself during the day, and then you try to eat, either you're ravenous for dinner, or you even try to eat like a little and not too much because you're like, well, it's still kind of like going out food, maybe it's more greasy, more oily, just whatever, so I'll eat less of it. But then you're still not full, not satiated. Then when dessert comes, then you have to eat a lot of it. Like at some point you're gonna have to like overeat on something that you otherwise wouldn't if you were actually pretty full. So again, I'm spending so much time on every one of the points today, but you got the gist of it. And then the next one is to not be like super stressed about it. Try to actually embrace mindful eating at that point. That's a topic that I have mixed feelings about, because sometimes what we call like mindful eating, some people might not know exactly how to do that, and for them they might not have the right habits instilled kind of to really practice that on a day-to-day basis. Like practicing mindful eating for a lot of us, just what we think it is, we might end up overeating. But during the holidays, what I mean is just kind of savor the flavors and experience each bite. So enjoy your treats, whatever it is, like mindfully, in a sense of like, you know that you should probably not eat the whole cake to yourself, but you also know that it's fine, or hopefully you know that it's fine if you have your slice of cake. Again, it's all about the overall habits, not really one meal or one event. It's about in general. Life is more about just that one holiday or that one thing. But really, what I wanted to say, the kind of a recap. This video actually isn't very long. I just talked a lot about the one or two points that I had. But just to quickly recap, just don't plan your whole life around those holidays or those meals. Kind of plan those around your life. So still do whatever else you were doing. Go again, get your steps in. Go to the gym like you usually do. Eat, like, meal prep for the rest of the times that you're not actually going to go out, and then eat the cookie or eat whatever you have to eat in that moment, and that's fine too. But also, like I said, that's the very first point. Don't think of that week as just another week in your cutting journey, for example, or another week that you have to make to see progress. Just think of it as a week where you're just trying to stay mindful of what you're eating, and you're just trying to maintain and not put on a lot of weight for no reason. But also, it's important to keep in mind that you're probably still going to feel a little bit more bloated, a little bit, the scale will probably go up after, but that's for a variety of reasons. That not doesn't necessarily mean you put on a lot of fat or anything. Most likely, eating those foods will just, first of all, just having more food in you will end up making your weight or the scale be higher. But in general, having those foods like during the holidays with like lots of, like, a lot more salt and things like that in them are just going to retain more water, so that will also make you feel kind of bloated, but also the scale go up. So if you see the scale go up by a couple pounds the next day, don't stress about that one. Don't even worry yourself necessarily. You can, but if you do, just remember that it's not going to be a clear indication of like what's happening with like fat loss or anything. Remember that the scale is probably going to go up for a variety of reasons, none of which would really be anything permanent. So yeah, keeping that in mind. Again, not a lot of points really that I had to go through. It's really about telling you that it's okay, but also not that to forget completely how we should be eating in general. Because at the end of the day, if you think about where you want to go in a couple of years, or where you want to be in a couple of years, once you've lost that weight that you want to lose, for example, you still want to be at a place where you're not really gorging yourself on things or binging or things like that. You want to see yourself in a place where you can enjoy the foods you want when you want it, but that you're also on a day-to-day basis making healthy choices, better choices. And then again, you can still have those cookies when you want. You can still have the beer or the drinks or whatever. Like, just picture yourself as future you. What would future you in that ideal body that you want to have be doing around Christmas or in general? And those same habits, that's what you should implement. Again, they're not somebody who's going to always be super restrictive or something like that, because that's not how you want to be or who you want to be in a couple of years, right? So I hope that video provided value. If it didn't, let me know. Maybe it was more of me rambling and the points were actually very few. I just wanted to go a little bit deeper on those few points, but just to not go hungry and still live your life and prioritize high protein foods and high fiber foods and water. So yeah, there's just a few points, to be honest. Let me know if you do want a part 2, then I will try to think a little bit more deeply. Like, if you want more tips, I would say if you haven't even been implementing those, you don't need more tips. I'm gonna be honest. But if you do and you want even more tips, I'll try to think of a couple more points to add. Again, I think I usually have like lots of steps, but in this case I didn't. Either way, hopefully you learned something new, you got some value out of it. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.